What's up, otakus, comic fam? Um, I'm doing another video. I did my, I think, top 10 yellow covers yesterday. And just thought I'd hop on. Nothing going on tonight. Um, it was sort of a quiet Saturday for us. Um, Not much happened. My son he came down with a pretty bad cough today, so we kind of got him ready for bed a little early, and we're hoping he recovers and gets better. But anyway, there was some interesting news. There was some original artwork that sold uh, uh, in the past. I think it was the past 2 days. Um, there's this sort of a infamous Captain American cover by Rob Liefeld. And this was as the comic boom of the 90s was deflating. Um, I remember this well. Liefeld and Jim Lee both head back to Marvel, and they kind of reset a bunch of really popular titles: Fantastic Four, Captain America, um, and of course, being the big names that they are, and coming back to Marvel to do that, it was kind of a big deal. But yeah, there's this um, infamous cover where Liefeld has Cap the Shield and Cap's like torso kind of like really kind of disproportionate to the head. Um, and if you look at it, it looks off. But if you look at how he referenced Arnold Schwarzenegger for that cover. If you look at the photo reference, it actually isn't too far from what the photo reference is, meaning that the photo was kind of taken at an angle that kind of accentuated the um, the pectoral muscles. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the photo was kind of, you know, it was taken in a way that accentuated that, and then he kind of took that exaggeration literally on in terms of the artwork that became kind of famous for just being looking off. And it does look off. But that original artwork went to auction. What's up? What's up, Kenny's Comic Kid? How you doing, bro? Thanks for hanging out. Um, that original piece of artwork went to auction this week, and it sold for $132,000. Okay. Um, and I wish I could. What's up, Miss? Oh, thanks for hanging out. We're talking about Rob Liefeld today, and there's a lot of Rob Liefeld hate, uh, and I wish I could say I shared it. I like Rob Liefeld. I think he's great. Um, you bought a Batman gingerbread house. Ooh. Oh, you're making me hungry. Love gingerbread houses. Sounds delicious. I'm assuming you can eat it. Yeah. It's like a bat cave type deal. I'm gonna have to go check that out. There's a Walmart near where I live, right, very close to where I live. They got lots of good stuff, um, especially their sale, like sale items at Walmart. If you go there like post Christmas or post Halloween and stuff like that, you get all that Halloween or Christmas stuff at like an 80% reduction. Uh, if you just wait like a day or so and go and pick up all that good stuff for like 80% of what it 80-90% of what it was. Also, you have to build it. It's not built already. Interesting. Well, would love to see a post of that once you get it up. That's cool. Have fun with that. Anyway, we're talking about Rob Liefeld and how that Captain America cover. I wish I had it. I don't have that particular cover, but how that cover sold for 132,000. And um, if you ask me, okay, I think that's right about where it should go for. To be honest, um, it's an infamous cover. It's a famous cover. It's significant because it marks a return to Marvel after all that you know separation drama and starting up Image, and it really is. Um, I mean, whether you like it or not, Rob Liefeld is a huge presence in the industry because he's one of the Image boys first and foremost. But he was one of the most popular artists during my collecting era. You know, he was on a Levi's commercial. The guy was doing interviews. I mean, he could just like announce that he's doing like a comic show, and we just have a bunch of people show up to the signing event. Um, yeah, he was sort of like a larger than life figure, and I think um, if you look at it in terms of like Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, you look at all those guys, um, they were all you know famous and well known in their own right, but um, I think Liefeld, just having the personality that he has, and um, appearing on all the talk shows and stuff, like he was definitely, I think, the brightest of the bunch, meaning like just had the most fame and notoriety of the bunch. And it really was his idea to branch off of Marvel and start Image, right? He's the one that kind of brought Todd in, and then brought all the Todd. He and Todd brought everybody else in. So, um, yeah, being the figure that he is, the fact that he created characters like Deadpool, Cable, um, the fact that he's still working in comics to this day, and I think he just announced that he's going to do like a movie, um, Blood Strike movie. We're gonna get to that, and we're gonna get to him. So I'm gonna do my top 10 covers, and yeah, I'll share my thoughts on like again, you know, I was I was already into collecting before Liefeld, McFarlane, and Jim Lee became household names. Um, but I was watching these guys. I was like knee deep into collecting when these guys were just like starting to put stuff out. And of course, you know, I was collecting X Men, and these guys were, heavily involved in all the X titles. Um, you know, Jim with X Men, Rob with a little bit of X Factor, but then New Mutants, And Todd wasn't necessarily involved in X-Men per se, but you know, he was in the Marvel War Room, so he was doing Spider-Man, um, and I'm sure had a lot of influence in terms of how the art and the story played out in these titles. So, what's up, Kenneth? Thanks for hanging out. We're talking Rob Liefeld tonight, and he's sort of Rob Liefeld is a polarizing figure. You either don't like his artwork, or you're like me, who appreciates the artwork, um, appreciates like his contributions to the industry. And he's not a bad comic book artist. People think, oh, like he can't draw and all this stuff. Like, no, there's much worse that you could do in terms of comic book art. Now, um, there's a lot of talent in the industry. Don't get me wrong. Um, uh, like, do I think he's the most talented person in the industry? Probably not. But is he talented? Yes. Is he talented enough to be where he is and what he's done? I think his work speaks for itself, right? Like he's talented enough to be a comic book artist. He's talented enough to be a cover artist. He's talented enough to do panels and put out comic books on his own. I mean, he doesn't have to prove to anybody that he can do that. He's done it, and he's done it with the best of them. And so, yeah, people can be critical of him, but um, at the end of the day, it's like his work speaks for itself. And so, um, I just kind of hate people who try to knock what he's done in the industry. I mean, that's a legend, and we can't take that legend status away from him, no matter how hard you try. Okay, uh, so this is just kind of like, again, 132,000 for original piece of cover art by Rob Liefeld. I think it's more than justified. I'm surprised it didn't go higher, to be honest. Um, but yeah, hopefully, this will kind of give him some additional cred or street cred, and repair some of the damage that people have done to his reputation because of this perceived notion that he can't draw feet. He can draw feet. Come on, that's not. I've got covers here proving he can draw feet. Well, maybe not this cover. Beast's feet look okay. Okay, so we've got uh, number 10 on the list. We've got X Factor 50, and um, this is a really special cover because it's you've got Liefeld inked by McFarlane. Now, McFarlane and Liefeld were really close at Marvel. They kind of were like the troublemakers at Marvel, but they were like friends. They were really close. They worked together. Like, here's a great example where they worked together, right? Liefeld did the inks, or sorry, the pencils, and McFarlane did the inks, and not a terrible cover. I mean, it's really decent. Again, I don't see an issue with the feet. I don't see an issue with the feet at all. I mean, they're not the best feet, but that's kind of like Rob's style, right? Rob's style is just sort of this sort of exaggerated. Uh, the anatomy is already sort of exaggerated, and I think he would have done great on the Hulk. I think it would have been nice to see him do the Hulk. Um, because again, like sort of that massive, like the big figures are kind of where the Rob's strengths lie. Next, we've got number 9. We've got this Young Blood Zero cover. Young Blood. This was kind of Young Blood was kind of the title for Liefeld. If you guys look at the image guys, Cyberforce, Silvestri, Wildcats, Jim Lee. I mean, they had obviously had a lot of different other projects going on, but if you look at the sort of the focus, the what's the word I'm looking for? The franchise titles that they launched. Cyberforce for Silvestri, Wildcats for Jim Lee, Spawn for Todd, Eric Larson had the Dragon, and yeah, Youngblood would be Rob's, and that's a cool cover if you ask me. I don't know what era you're collecting. Those characters look really cool, and there's feet in this cover. Here he is, sort of hiding the feet. Youngblood. This is number 8 on my list. Youngblood number 1. Now this is the second print. But yeah, this was a very hot book back in the day. Sold a lot of copies, and that's the thing. Like, if you look at sales at Marvel, X-Force had sold something like 1 million copies, and then McFarlane followed it up with, I think, 2 million copies. Is it 2 million or 3 million? 2 or 3 million copies of Spider-Man, and then Jim Lee knocked it out of the park with 8 million copies of X-Men. So it was just like these guys were selling books for sure. Yeah, his feet. Again, I don't see an issue with the feet. And we're going to get to more examples of feet here. This next cover, I think, this next cover exemplifies, his talent and, again, the strengths of Rob. And that's Prophet number 1. Great cover here, black cover. You've got just, again, really exaggerated anatomy there. Got this guy with holding 2 really very menacing looking daggers. He's battle ready. Look at that face. That really dark looking menacing face there with the teeth showing. This is a great cover. And again, that style, it's the line work there. Liefeld oftentimes would ink himself, but in this instance, it was Dan Panosian who inked it. So, great job by Panosian there to ink Liefeld work. Great cover, actually. But hands down, I think Liefeld's best work was his work on the New Mutants. I think he had done a lot of previous sort of like work on different books leading up to sort of his stint, which was a very short stint. It wasn't a very long stint on the New Mutants, but man, was it impactful. And here's the last issue of the New Mutants before it transitioned into X-Force, and that's this great cover here. You got New Mutants 100, and there's feet on this cover. But yeah, just great character work there. You got Shatterstar, Domino, young Thunderbird. You got Cable in the background. Just really classic stuff right there. That's a classic cover there. All right. I think we've done 4 so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, we're already on number 5. We've done 5. So number 5 on my list is also a classic. I think I remember when this cover came out, it just was like, wow. You just kind of wanted to buy it for the cover art. Again, everything's kind of exaggerated and just cool looking. This is the kind of artwork, people who collect comics would appreciate and enjoy. Maybe not someone who's an art critic who's like into, if you're into like real like fine art and stuff, this probably doesn't speak to you. But if you're 16 years old and you're reading X-Men and loving X-Men, this is the kind of stuff that you makes you really excited. And so we got New Mutants 94, great Wolverine cover, Cable cover. I gotta tell you, as big as Deadpool is right now, when Cable first came out, it was like Cable was moving books. Everybody's like, man, Cable is so cool. This like dude from the future. He's got this connection. The rumor is that he's Cyclops' son from the future. He's got this cool like metallic arm, and like he's got this cybernetic eye, and it's just like what? Just absolutely wild, crazy stuff at that time, and nothing exemplified how cool Cable was in a cover like this, right? Man, I think get you excited. I don't know what would. And now we go to like at the time this had been one of the best selling comic book, and then it just subsequently like these Image guys just outdid one another. But I remember going and specifically wanting to get the Cable card, not the because Deadpool wasn't that popular, right? I think there were a lot of people who Deadpool was like the least. Well, maybe you wanted to get the Deadpool. I can't speak to that, but at the time it was like, by a long shot, it was like you wanted the Cable card if you were getting this issue. And this is my original issue. It's still in the poly bag. It's got the Cable card on the back, but X-Force 1, this cover, I mean, come on. Again, the Cable factor. It just was like, it was so cool. It was just such a cool cover. And a lot of people bought this issue. And I still see this issue. It's everywhere. It's floating around. You can get it for $1. You see some places like graded copies selling for like $50, $60. I mean, it's just, you'll be able to find it. But again, take a close look at the artwork. That artwork, that's prime stuff. And mind you, this is Liefeld did everything on this cover, right? Colored it himself. He inked it himself. He did everything. So, say what you will about what you think. I'm sure he's not losing any sleep over what kind of talent he has. This next issue, this is number 3 on my list. And this is a really interesting issue because it's sort of this like hodgepodge of like 80s sort of pop culture characters in this book. Alf makes an appearance. Um, Star Wars and Star Trek characters make an appearance. I think like even uh, like Ripley's Aliens and the Terminator. Like everybody just kind of like hodgepodge of pop pop culture at this time makes an appearance in this. So that makes this a very interesting book. But the cover is also really dope. You got Long Shot, Havoc. I was just talking about how this era of the X-Men team, it'd be cool if the MCU did a version of this, or did a version of like Age of Apocalypse, some kind of, something where it's like a new team. Um, and with Dazzler popping up in Deadpool, um, rumored to pop up in Deadpool, I think it's a real possibility. We'll see Long Shot, we'll see Havoc, we'll see this team, the old school team, where Rogue and Dazzler uh, have a crush on a Long Shot, whose mutant ability is, it really is like, what is it, luck? His mutant ability is luck. It's just, he'll go into battle and just get lucky. So, how cool is that? Um, and I think, just be, again, you've got the core still there. You got Storm, Colossus, Wolverine. It's just during this period, X Factor and X Men had split apart. And so you had the original X Men being their own team. Archangel, Beast, Jean Grey, Scott Summers, they're their own team, known as X Factor. And then you have this X Men team, um, with a new team and a bunch of like just people. They keep adding new people, right? They add Jubilee, they add Bishop, they just had a bunch of new, like Gambit, right? They had a bunch of new characters. And I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see some form of that. And again, I wouldn't put it past Marvel to just introduce them like that as a team, right? Like have some kind of time displacement, and all the comic book fans are just like, okay, yeah, I can buy into this. And you don't really need a lot of um, buy-in. Oh, you don't need a lot of setup time to introduce these characters. You don't have to introduce them one at a time. You can just introduce them and um, get to know them as they're playing off each other, right? And that brings me to my number two book, which is the first appearance of Cable, and this is just a great cover as well. I don't know how you can get more like comic book. Like I don't know if you can get better, like a better comic book cover than something like this, right? That's just a classic sort of like, oh, here's a new character. What's this book about? Getting people psyched about this character named Cable. That's just pure marketing genius right there on the part of Rob. And mind you, Rob is 22 or 23 when he puts this cover out. So, you know, he's the youngin' at Marvel. 22. I think Jim is just a few years older than him, maybe 2 years older than him. Um, no, sorry. Jim is three years older than him. And Todd is 5 years older than Rob. So a relatively young bunch. They're all in their 20s. And man, they just come in, and that youthful energy is so apparent with all the great work that they did. Yeah. And then finally, this is my number one. I'm not gonna like get it out, but it's the first appearance of Deadpool. That's, I think, my favorite Liefeld cover. It's definitely his best known work. Um, yeah, Todd. That's a great point. Like Todd's in his 60s. Jim's gonna turn 60 next year, and Rob is 56. So these guys are. We've I can't speak for everybody out there, but I have grown up reading these guys' works, um, especially during this collecting period, which is the mid '80s to the mid '90s. It's really that decade, yeah, like '84 to like '97 is when I was collecting, and these guys were there right at the heart, the central focus of so much of what I was collecting. Because when they went to Image, of course, like the Image books were just what you wanted to get each month, right? You wanted to get like Team 7, you wanted to get um, Wildcats, you wanted to get Cyberforce, you wanted to get Rip Claw. They all came out their sort of individual sort of mini series as well. You wanted to get to know these characters. Uh, you know, Spawn. Spawn was just like everybody wanted to read Spawn and collect Spawn. So um, I've got to admit that Rob was putting out a lot of stuff, a lot of books at the time, and I think I read Young Blood, and I didn't get into Young Blood all that much, and so I didn't really focus on picking up much Liefeld, that Image, but definitely, he was pumping out books. Um, it was a crazy time, the Image era. So, and thank goodness Image has survived. I mean, it's still going strong and putting out a lot of good stuff. So glad to see it. It definitely was like a sort of a revolution in the sense that you had the well-established publishing companies, and all of a sudden, here comes this new guy, this new thing, Image, and it really forces the market, the industry to evolve and innovate in a way it's never. The pace of that innovation is never. We've never seen it. I mean, it kind of set up today's current market where you have so much different titles and different works, and just there's a little bit of something for everybody, right? It's so diverse and segmented and targeted, which is a great thing. But that innovation was happening in the '90s because you just had so many people wanting to read books and just putting their money into what they liked, and ultimately that, I think, it rose too fast, too quickly, but then it kind of settled, and it's kind of settled to what we have now. And I don't think, these books, they do sell a lot of books. They also print a lot of books. Again, the printing, if you look at how printing works these days and how efficient, a print run can be in terms of costs, really the overhead is what you're paying these artists, what you're paying the writers. That printing, in the past, it might have cost a lot to print these books, but today it's actually very minimal. So they can afford to print out a lot of these books in the hopes that they'll sell. But even if they don't sell, I'm pretty sure the core market of what's being sold is enough to, you know, be profitable at these companies. So, um, and again, Marvel, DC, even though they have this like thriving comic book industry, the bulk of their profits not coming from these characters or these book sales. They're coming from the actual intellectual property, the fact that you bring a cable into the market, and if you can license a cable mug, a cable t-shirt, a movie, and you know that movie does well at the box office, and then you're able to merchandise for, you know, off that success, that's where they're making the money. So this is sort of the foundational creatives that build this IP, this universe and this IP, but ultimately it's what sells in mass culture, popular culture, that translates to the profits. So, you know, a bunch of geeks buying books every month, that's just a portion of the big profit picture. It's that core love of these characters and stories that lead to bigger, you know, bigger marketing strategies that lead to a movie, that lead to like just internet hype, that lead to like different hype channels and build it up, build it up, build it up to get like a movie that everybody goes and watches and talks about, and then buys the t-shirt, buys the video game, buys, you get what I'm saying, right? It's just, it's a massive web of um, of sales, sales. So, you know, this really came about with Star Wars. Star Wars kind of gave companies sort of the future roadmap on uh, how you build off a successful motion picture that becomes basically, you know, a synonymous, uh, you know, names that become synonymous with, you know, like family, basically, like Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca. These are like new family members, right? The kind of impact it has on the entertainment value you get from watching something like Star Wars. So, yeah, uh, 90s was a very, I think, special period. Um, and again, look at, just think about like how much revenue Deadpool is bringing in for Marvel. Not just the books, but the T-shirts, the, you know, the YouTube spots. Um, it's bringing a lot of money for, uh, you know, Ryan Reynolds for sure, right? But it's probably, Deadpool 3 is probably going to be a huge box office success. So, you know, we're talking billions, and then from that there'll be, again, more book sales related to that. Whatever comes out of it, Deadpool, they'll write books related to that. There'll probably be a video game. There'll probably be like, I don't know, some kind of Marvel ride at uh, Disney, right? Deadpool ride or something at Disneyland, and that's how this thing works, right? Absolutely. I think Deadpool's a good example of like, you know, the history. Rob Liefeld treated Deadpool as sort of like his take on Deathstroke. He's like, I just want to bring Deathstroke, create, you know, he actually wanted to work on Deathstroke at DC when he was there for like a week or whatever. Um, and then when he came to Marvel, he still was like, I want to do Deathstroke. So he brought his own version of Deathstroke to Marvel in the form of Deadpool. and and then Marvel took that character and made him this funny sort of merc with a mouth, and then that popularity propelled a movie, or at least was popular enough to make Ryan Reynolds want to do a movie. Uh, it's great IP actually. Deadpool, the merc with a mouth. It's great stuff. But all created in the pages of the comic book that started with Rob, but continued on, and now it's a billion-dollar franchise for Marvel. And when Deadpool 3 comes out, like, let's assume Taylor Swift is in it, and then you get all the Swifties watching it. It becomes this global thing. Well, you know, again, there's the guy who started it all is who we're talking about. So when you look at $132,000 original comic cover art sale, we got a lot of people in the community right now saying, "What? It commanded what price? That's not worth that much. No one's going to buy it for that much." I beg to differ. I think it's actually undervalued, if you ask me. Um, Considering like what I mean, considering like what other comic book artists' original art fetches at market, I think it's way below what some of these other legends fetch at auction, right, for their original works. So being under 32,000 is it? I don't want to say it's undervalued because that is a lot of money. I think it's fair value. Whoever bought it as an investment. I think it's a fair investment. I don't think you'd lose too much value, um, given what it is now. Everybody has their opinion on like what constitutes good and bad art. Um, and if you were asked me if I would ever pay 132,000 for that, if I had 132,000, I would buy something else with that money for sure. Probably buy Jim Lee original artwork. But again, if you're a fan of Rob Liefeld, uh, or just if you're into like comic book art, I think it does hold that value. So, all right, well, that's my list, and it's gonna be a short video. I know I usually ramble on for like 2-3 hours, but that's all I have to show right now. So, thanks for watching. Yeah, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, uh, get notified because again, I just kind of go on when I go on. I don't really have this set time, so I'm really one of those channels where you have to get notified. Um, Actually, I don't even know how to do that. I just kind of go on live, so I guess you don't have to hit the notification bell. I don't plan things in advance, and even if I were to, it'd be like 10 minutes before. I don't know if I can notify you 10 minutes before, so don't hit the notification. Just hit the like and subscribe, and yeah, let me know what your favorite Rob Liefeld book is, or if you like him, or if you hate him, what your thoughts on him are. But again, my thoughts are he's a legend. Um, he has talent. He's a talented comic book artist. Um, and I think, people just have to be kinder about what he's done in the industry because I think his legacy speaks for itself. Um, that's my thought on it. I gotta do a Will's. I gotta do a Will's Portatio. Um, I absolutely agree with you, Brandon. Will's Portatio needs to get more love, more credit. I think he's just sort of everybody knows he's a legend. They know he's up there with everybody. It's just he kind of gets forgotten, right? Kind of gets forgotten that he's done so much like great work. I mean, he was a workhorse back in the day. He did a lot of um, really key books, and even to today, he's still doing a lot of great artwork. Um, and it's great to see Will's Portatia also, his development and his maturity and his um, how he's become better as an artist over the years. He's still doing stuff for DC now. I think Jim's brought him into the fold, and he's doing a lot of stuff for DC. He's kind of one of those guys who can kind of go back and forth and do Marvel and DC stuff because he's got the clout, right? He can just kind of say, "Hey, I want to do this book," and I don't see any editor or publisher saying no to this Portacia. So it's kind of got that status as, again, legend. I will have to do a separate list on Will's Portacio when that time comes, but just wanted to focus on Rob because he's again with that art auction sale and a lot of the Deadpool, rumors and stuff swirling about. It's crazy. There was a bit of sort of tragic news now that we're talking about Taylor Swift. Apparently, Taylor Swift is doing a concert in Brazil. I mean, assume it's Brasilia, but she had to cancel this show because a fan died of, I think, heat stroke or a heat-related illness, which is not Taylor Swift's fault. I mean, it's just hot down there right now. They're going through like a heat spell. We got people waiting outside probably to get in the concert. There's not air conditioning. If you didn't bring water and you're stuck in like crowds of people outside, that'll um, that's not a good recipe for health. So sad to hear that someone passed, one of her fans passed, waiting for the show and whatnot. I think she canceled the show in light of that news and in, I think, light of that risk, that health risk for attending her show. But that kind of does like take the sails out of her tour and all the success she's having this year with her concerts. So hopefully, I don't think it'll derail her popularity much, but hopefully she doesn't get too much fallout from this tragedy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her in Deadpool 3 as Dazzler, and we'll see where that goes. But I want to give a shout out to a really cool community member. I love the stuff he puts out, and this is Josh's comic books. Um, I'm blanking on his name. I think it's Aaron. Aaron from Josh's comic books started his channel as a dedication to his brother. I don't listen to Rob's podcast. I should probably do so. Um, I'm sure it's funny as well because Rob's a funny guy. Rob is a funny guy. But yeah, Aaron is started his YouTube channel. Well, I don't want to even say he started his Instagram account as a dedication to his brother who passed, and his brother was a big comic book collector. And I think Josh is carrying on the tradition for his brother, so he's collecting and he's, maintaining this great sort of comic book community channel uh, in honor and in kind of in his brother's stead, which I think is really cool. Um, and he's really knowledgeable about books, but he's just a great community member because First, he's anti-speculation buying. Um, he's against, people overpaying for books and buyers who kind of take advantage of people who don't know about grading or what books are, what, where you should place value in the books, right? You see a lot of buyers taking advantage of people with like lingo, like, oh, it's a hot book, it's a limited edition, or something ridiculous like that. Um, you know, there are a lot of people who are getting into the hobby, but they probably don't understand how to value books or how to grade books. And you see a lot of sellers taking advantage of that by overpricing and taking advantage of that sort of um, lack of knowledge. But anyway, Aaron calls all that stuff out. And yeah, he had this great post on spec buying. And I completely agree with him. I think people who spec buy um, should probably, I mean, it's up to you, ultimately up to you. If you want to speculate and buy a book because you think it's going to go up in value or it is going up in value, um, you're fine to do that. Just be warned that this is a very frequent trend in the industry. That's how books get sold in these back issue bins, right? They've got a bunch of books that aren't selling at the moment, but they kind of become like a book of the week, or they gain some traction with some industry news or something, and people want to go out and buy them. That's fine, but buy them at a reasonable price. Don't go out there and just buy off the first person you run into on eBay or whatever, or don't pay what buyers are telling you that book is worth, um, because ev- everybody's connected. So when a news breaks, sellers are instantly going to be like, what was a $5 book is now going to be a $50 book, right? And hopefully you don't buy that book for $50, but you actually go to LCS or you find it somewhere for $5. Now, I know how hard it can be when you want a book and you go out and you look for it. It's not there. Sometimes your only option is the internet. Um, but just know that spec buying, and uh, it's what we're all warning you against. Don't go out and just get that book and feel like you have to pay that speculation price. Because if you wait, if you're patient, again, you're going to be able to pick it up. It might take some time. It might be even beyond that speculation window. But again, really ask yourself if it's a book you need or want, or if it's something you just want because you want, because everybody else says you need to have it. I think that's what I appreciate about Josh's comic books. Is shout out to again Aaron at Josh's Comic Books. Um, what I appreciate about that channel is like, look, there are a lot of books out there. You can probably get the book you want at the price you want, meaning at a very much lower price than what these comic book apps are telling you it's worth. And that that's going to take a little bit of discipline and patience on your part, but that's really, I think, the right way to do it. Um, and he's also critical of people who are spec buying just to flip the book. And that's sort of the issue, right? That's what's causing all this. I think it's what we don't want to see. You don't want to see a guy buying a book for $3 and then flipping it for 30 because it's a speculation book. That's what we want to eliminate. This sort of like ridiculous pricing in the market. So it is what it is. And again, there's a question of like, what will the Dazzler be? The first appearance of Dazzler book be worth at the end of the day? Okay, started off as like a $10 to $20 book. It's now $200. It'll probably go up even more as the movie gets closer. But again, when we see that Dazzler appearance and all that hype dies down, what's the book going to be worth at the end of the day? And I am pretty confident it will be closer to $20 than it is $200. Okay, I'm pretty confident. So just maybe you love Dazzler. Okay, if you love Dazzler, you should have bought the book before the speculation happened. I like Dazzler. I like Dazzler. She's a character of the X-Men during my collecting era. Don't get me wrong, I like Dazzler, but do I like Dazzler enough to go out and buy her first appearance and put a lot of stock in that first appearance? No. Do I like Dazzler because I think I want to see Taylor Swift play her in a movie? No. So for me, that book isn't worth more than $20. If I run into it in a dollar bin or $5 bin, yeah, I'll buy it. But outside of that context, I'm not, running out to buy Dazzler. And I think that's kind of what we're just trying to say. Collect what you like, collect what you love. You got to know why you like and love something, whether it's something, a story you read, or you just have something in common with that character, or you find something, about that character that you connect with. Whatever it is, let it have meaning to you and not have other people dictate what that meaning to you should be. Now, I shouldn't say I'm not guilty of spec buying. I have a lot of bought books. I don't want to say a lot of spec buying books, but something. For example, like I think when they announced the What If series, I think season 2 of What If is coming out, by the way. But when they announced the What If series, I wanted to get the What If #1 book, issue #1 What If, and I overpaid for it. And I didn't even. I overpaid for a grade that. Yeah, so I didn't even get the grade I wanted. I overpaid for the grade I didn't get, and it was just a big mess because I ran into that book this past weekend for like $3. Okay, it was around the condition of what I currently have right now, so it's kind of like when I think about how much I paid for the book. Again, it was right at that spec period, the What If spec period, and I regret it. So that doesn't happen to me too often, but I think it happens to the best of us. And just, again, that was a good experience because what it teaches you is to, like, first of all, not buy into stuff like that, first and foremost. But second, if you really want that book, and I like the book. It's just to be patient and, pick it up when you're able to. And sometimes that speculation, that rush to get that book, it can be very powerful. I'm experiencing that now with X-Men, Classic X-Men 39. I want Classic X-Men 39 more than anything right now. And I'm obsessive over it. And that's a dollar bin book. I just can't find it anywhere. So it's a little frustrating, and it's also just, yeah, it's very frustrating. But again, I'm trying to kind of practice what I preach by saying, be patient, be disciplined. It's going to come into your collection. If you have that focus, if you have it in your mind and you're looking for it when you're out and about, unmyeon, your your destiny, your comic book fate, the thing I've been preaching since day one of my channel, unmyeon, your unmyeon book. If it's your destiny and fate to own that book, you can always control your destiny and fate by just hopping onto eBay and buying it, which is not the way to do it. Not, at least not the otaku way. The otaku way is to just be one with the universe. That young book will come to you when when the universe is aligned. It will come to you. So, all right. Well, I did kind of go over and rant a little bit, but thanks for hanging out, guys. Hey, Brandon, um, let's get a trade going, man. I got a bunch of new trade books. I'm sure you have a bunch of books as well that you want to trade. Um, Send me some offers. Let's get something going. Or I'll send you some offers, and we'll try to get something going. All right. Again, reminder: send me some offers. I got a bunch of books. Um, I'm looking for Jim Lee, Peach Momoko, Brian Ballin, and I'll just send a bunch of books your way. Stuff you like your way if you have that. We'll work something out. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.